Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As was announced, my name is Marty Wiles. I am the brother of Rod Wiles. I am also a territory manager for Blue Links Corporation in the state of Maine. And contrary to some recent inquiries, Rod is my brother, not my father. He is indeed my older brother and not quite as good looking. I'm sure most, if not all of you, read the write-up that was in the Cooperator magazine most recently. My job is to fill in some of the details and some of the things that were left out. As most of you know, that was probably written by Rod, so it was probably a little more flattering than maybe it should have been, but I won't. Maybe a little bit later I can fill you in on some of the stories. It's not surprising that Rod has been elevated to the chairman role for a lumber dealers organization. Part of my role in the family is historian and genealogist, and Rod comes from a long line of men that have been in the lumber business. From the research that I've been able to do, it goes back at least 5 generations in the state of Maine. I say at least 5 generations because in my research, taking me up into Fort Kent, the trail goes kind of cold up there. It's awful cold in Fort Kent. For those of you that don't know where Fort Kent is, it is in the northern reaches of Maine. It sits right on the border with Canada. And one speculation is that the reason that the trail goes cold is because there were probably, sometimes in the winter, that the river froze over and walking across from Canada into the States was not a problem. We probably should see about getting a wall erected up there, but I'll leave that conversation for another time. Our great-great-grandfather worked in the lumber camps of northern Maine from a very early age. Those of you that know the history of that time period back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, it was not uncommon for young men of the age of 14, 15 years old to be working in the lumber camps, and he did that. This was also a time where, when it got to about this time of the year, the men would go back into the woods, and you wouldn't see them probably until the first of the year, or after, when they would start to bring the logs out. Our great-grandfather was a logger in the 20s, 30s, and 40s in the central Maine area. And at the height of his operation, he had well in excess of 25 team of horses to do that operation. Again, this is before the days of skidders and the like. Our dad was raised by his grandfather. His mom died a couple hours after he was born, so he was raised by his grandfather and his grandmother. So our dad worked with him in his younger years and learned the lumbering business, the logging business. It was not uncommon for him to be able to point out a species of tree that I had no idea, what that was, and he was very good at that. If you did read the article in the Cooperator, we moved back to Maine in 1985. Dad was looking for a job to supplement his income. He was pastoring a small church in Maine that was not able to take him on full time, and on the recommendation of a friend of ours that lived in the area, Bobby Wadley, he applied at Hammond Lumber and got a job there starting out as a truck driver. About a year after that, Rod attempted to gain employment at Hammond Lumber, and finally, after 4 tries, he wore Donald Hammond down enough to be able to give him an entry-level job. The jury is still out on whether or not that was a good idea. It's been 32 plus years, but we'll have to see. The verdict should be in any time now. Some of you know that I as well went to work for Hammond Lumber about a year after that. My only guess is that Donald looked at the first two Wildsmen that he had hired and said, what could possibly go wrong? Well, to quote Meatloaf, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Starting there, Rod has steadily worked his way up the proverbial ladder at Hammond. And as his younger brother, I have watched his growth both professionally and as a brother, a husband, a father, and now grandfather. For those of you that know Rod, know that family is a very important part of his life, and he rightfully takes a tremendous amount of pride in them. It's been said about many of us that if it weren't for our wives, we would not have anywhere near the success in life that we have. And I believe that this is true in Rod's case. Lori, his wife, is the quintessential sister-in-law and the perfect match for Rod. Lori's family and ours have known each other ever since, well, before either one of them are born. And it almost feels like Lori's been part of our family forever. Well, before I digress and start telling stories and get myself into trouble, I'll wrap this up. Rod has been on the Retail Lumber Dealers of Maine board for a number of years and has held various roles: vice president, president, chair of the legislative committee, to name a few. We on the Retail Lumber Dealers of Maine are proud to have one of our own as the chair of the NRLA. So I'd like to introduce the next chair of the NRLA, my brother, Rod Wiles.
I've always wanted to do that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dana. I'm deeply grateful for this honor and this opportunity to serve as your next NRLA chairperson, and I look forward to promoting this wonderful organization and contributing to the NRLA's continued success. So thank you very much. I wanted you to know that initially that was the end of my remarks that I had prepared, because I thought the Red Sox were going to be playing tonight and I was going to have to get back to the room to see what the score was. And then Rita said, no, I'll set up a big screen TV for you and we'll play it on the screen while the meeting's going on. So I said, okay. So I prepared a couple of more remarks. I do have a few people to thank, so I hope you'll bear with me a moment while I go through them. It's only going to take about 45 minutes. Hopefully that'll be okay. I do want to begin tonight by recognizing some individuals that received some awards last night. I know not all of them are here, but for those of you that don't know, last night we had our Maine, New Hampshire board meeting. I want to congratulate Steve Farnham once again and Bob Ferguson for being honored as the Lumber Persons of the Year. Also, Dwayne Farnham, who was recognized for the Lifetime Achievement Award. Very great award. Congratulations once again, Dwayne. Each of these individuals are very, very deserving for all of their contributions to our association as well as to our industry, and so I want to thank them for their service. I also, too, want to express my thanks to Bob Bicknell for his NRLA service over the past few years. I know Bob will continue to be involved in some way or another with the NRLA over the next few years, but I do want to thank him. But beyond that, on a personal note, I want to thank Bob as well as his wife Connie. Ever since I became involved in the NRLA, both Bob and Connie befriended Lori and I at all of the events that we attended. And that really meant a lot to us, and that's something that we both appreciated very much, and it's something that we will remember forever. So thank you very much, Bob and Connie, for that. Also to Dana, I want to extend my congratulations and gratitude to Dana for his service over the last year. The NRLA can be very proud of its 125-year anniversary. its history, and I hope to build upon the legacy that Dana, as well as many others before him, have firmly put in place. So thank you once again, Dana. And finally, I want to recognize Rita and all of her staff at the NRLA for the wonderful job and the hard work that they do, the tireless effort that they give each and every day in order to provide all of our members with the services and the benefits that help to make our business more successful. So thank you very much, Rita and the NRLA staff. And also for a wonderful weekend that they put on here as well. Thank you very much. Donna, would you please stand? Donna Berger. I want to especially give a shout out to Donna Berger for her hard work. Now, I got to tell you that originally I wasn't going to do anything as far as Donna was concerned, but she did a couple of things tonight that most of you didn't see. The first thing that she did is she said to me, "Do you think that your grandchildren would like mac and cheese rather than what's on the menu?" And I said, "That'd be great. Yes, that's wonderful." And she thought of that, and so she had them deliver mac and cheese. And then when the dessert came, somehow I may have slipped and told her that my favorite dessert was apple pie a la mode. How many of you in the room tonight got apple pie a la mode? I did. Thanks to Donna. So thank you very much, Donna. I really appreciate that. Before coming here tonight, I was discussing my remarks with my wife, and she said, "Rod, now don't try to be too charming or too witty or intellectual. Just be yourself." So tonight I'm going to try to do that. For better or worse, I'm just going to try to be myself, if that's okay. As I've prepared for my role with as the NRLA chair, one of the things that I've thought about was what exactly that I felt was important goals to focus on during my year as the chairman. This is a consideration that I believe that every chairman has had before me, and I'm sure that my thoughts have been similar to theirs. One of the primary ongoing goals that I feel we need to have is how best to promote the many different programs and services that the NRLA offers, as well as how to maximize a better understanding of the variety of ways that the NRLA can help to support its members. Whether it's through participation on their roundtables, their education programs or legislative efforts, or perhaps it's through one of the many different business services that is offered, or an insurance program that can be taken advantage of. By promoting these things, not only do we help to make our current members more successful, those efforts will also help to grow the NRLA membership by showing non-members the many benefits of joining our organization. Additionally, I think that we need to continue looking for ways to improve upon our attendance and the participation at the LBM Expo. I believe that we've made some very big strides over the past year towards this goal, and I know Rita and her staff are very excited for the upcoming 125th celebration happening in February in Boston. So I hope that you're already making plans to attend. It's going to be a great time, a great show, so be making your plans for that. These are just a couple of the things that I feel are important to maintain the strength and the value of NRLA. But I've also realized that it's not just about my goals. My goals may not be your goals. What I may find to be important isn't necessarily what you may feel is important. The composer Felix Mendelssohn once said, "The essence of beautiful is the unity in variety." I've been thinking about this as I've been admiring the beautiful array of colors that we all love during this time of year. I've considered how boring it would be if when all of the leaves on the trees changed, they all turned different shades of gray. it made me to realize that it is the variety and the blending of many different colors that we find so stunning and enjoy so much. The same is true for the ongoing success of our association. Each of us is unique and different, but collectively we can make quite an impact. So over the next year, I'm asking each of you to be thinking about ways that you believe we can improve, whether it's through a program or a service that we don't currently offer, or maybe it's through some other effort that would bring additional value to our members. Whatever it is, I encourage each of you to reach out to me and share your suggestions and ideas so that together we can grow even stronger. Over the past few weeks, I've thought about Spencer Kellogg, the NRLA's first chairman, and the small group of lumbermen who 125 years ago joined together as they recognized the value of cooperation and saw the benefits of working together with one common purpose to everyone's advantage. Henry Ford once said that coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. For the past 125 years, the NRLA has worked together and has successfully grown into an 1,160-member association of lumber and building material suppliers across 11 states and the District of Columbia. And as I've looked back on the history of the NRLA and the men and women who were instrumental in its growth, I am humbled to have been selected to serve as your next chairman. And I do not take lightly the responsibilities of this position and the trust that has been placed in me. Once again, thank you very much. So, how did someone who wasn't born into the industry, who grew up delivering newspapers and worked through high school in fast food restaurants and running hot dog carts, end up as your current NRLA chair? I've asked myself that very same question many times before. But I've come to recognize that my own professional growth and personal success are largely a byproduct of the leaders and mentors that I've had the good fortune of working with throughout my career. People who guided me and helped me to uncover my potential and to see things about my own abilities that I may have otherwise missed. Some of these individuals are here tonight, and I'd like to take the opportunity to thank them for the role that they've played in my success. 32 years ago, I did apply for a job at Hammond Lumber Company, and as Marty said, I think it was 4 times that I did apply. And Donald Hammond finally did agree to hire me. I'm not sure if it's because he was really desperate or he just gets sick of me bugging him, but he did give me a job, and for that I am grateful. Nonetheless, in time, I believe that Donald recognized something of value in me and gave me many chances and opportunities to prove myself and to grow in confidence. He kept me on my toes, kept pushing me and finding ways to expand my limits. And I can confidently say that if it were not for the leadership and guidance of Donald Hammond, who saw something in me and gave me the opportunities I was given, I would not be standing before you tonight. Not long after starting with the company, under the encouragement and supervision of our operations manager, Matt Massey, I became the commodities buyer while maintaining a role as an inside receiver and sales associate. Matt saw something in me and was willing to help me develop the skills that I needed to take the next step in my career. Then in 1997, an opportunity presented itself in our marketing department, and once again, I had the chance to expand and to grow professionally. Through this new position, I began to work closely with Bob Thing, our Director of Operations. Many of you know Bob. Bob served on the RLDAM board for several years. Over time, Bob became a trusted friend and mentor. Bob recognized something of value in me and invited me to take his place by attending and getting involved in the local RLDAM meetings. At the same time, and under Bob's careful guidance, I began working with him more closely and learning even more about the day-to-day operations of the company, and gradually started becoming more and more involved in the company's human resource department. Then in 2017, when Bob retired, I became the Director of Personnel, which is the position that I currently hold. I also want to recognize Dick Tarr from LaPointe Lumber. Dick took an active interest in my personal growth. As the RLDAM board member and an NRLA treasurer, Dick was another person that saw something in me and recommended that I be asked to serve on the NRLA Executive Committee. And it was because of Dick's recommendation that I joined the committee and ultimately had the opportunity to begin working my way through the chairs. I want to thank Mike Hammond for the ongoing confidence that he has placed in me over the years and for all that he has made possible for me and my family. And finally, I want to recognize a very dear friend and colleague of mine that's been very instrumental behind the scenes in contributing to my professional success. Suzanne Perret is a 30-year, semi-retired employee from Hammond Lumber that has not only been a friend, she's been a listener, an advisor, a psychologist, a proofreader, a speechwriter, a priest, a golf coach, and probably a whole lot of other things that I can't think of. But nonetheless, I'm exceedingly grateful for all that Sue has done for me throughout my career, and I will forever cherish her friendship. I'm here today because these individuals and others took an active interest in my professional growth and were willing to help me advance. Many of the opportunities which shaped my career presented themselves as challenges that I often felt exceeded my abilities. But with the encouragement and support of these people, I was able to dig deeper and to find the inner strength that I needed to persevere. When I was a little boy, I used to pray and ask God to give me the girl of my dreams. A beautiful, hot babe. Someone that would provide me with all the happiness that I could imagine. Someone I could spend the rest of my life with. 30 years ago, I thought he answered my prayer, gave me exactly what I'd asked for. Boy, was I wrong. For you see, God gave me so much more than that. So much more than I ever could have imagined or hoped for. He gave me a girl way beyond my dreams, with an inner and an outer beauty that takes my breath away more and more every day, and who has an overdose of patience that allows her to put up with a guy he was going to stick her with for the rest of her life. 30 years ago, Lori Martin saw something in me and agreed to become my wife. And there's no one in my life that has had any more impact on the man that I have become today than my wife. I know this will embarrass her, but I'm going to ask Lori if she'd stand, because I want to just introduce to you your next First Lady, Lori Wiles. Being married to my best friend has allowed me to redefine my idea of personal success. More and more, I realize that what I value most in my life is difficult to measure. My relationships, my faith, good health, and my ability to make a difference. But most important is my family. Lori and I have been blessed with 3 amazing children, Krista, Caleb, and Aaron. They're all here tonight, and I'm very pleased and proud to have them here with me. For those of you that didn't hear them earlier downstairs in the business meeting, I thought they did a wonderful job singing the national anthem. In fact, I had a request for maybe an encore, but I'm not sure if we ought to do that tonight. Krista and Caleb are both here tonight with their spouses. First, our daughter Krista, who's hiding over here behind the post with her husband her husband Mike, and her son, my grandson Liam. Then our son Caleb and his wife Katie, and my grandson Grayson, who's singing down front here, as well as their daughter, who's going to make her first appearance here in a couple of months. And also our youngest, Aaron York. Unfortunately, Aaron's husband is unable to be with us here tonight because she's serving our country currently in Afghanistan, but we're in hopes. Brendan will be home here in a few weeks, and we're certainly looking forward to that, but I can promise you no one's looking more forward to it than Erin is. She certainly misses him. I'd like to close tonight by leaving you with a thought from Albert Einstein. He said, "Try not to become a person of success, but rather try to become a person of value. With your help, it is my hope that I will be a person of value to the NRLA, and that together we can make a positive difference." Over the upcoming year, as opportunities present themselves, either through participating in your local annual meetings or during our 125-year celebration in Boston, I look forward to meeting many of you and hearing your ideas and suggestions on ways that we can improve and how together we can best serve our membership. Again, thank you very much for this wonderful honor. Thank you.